Hey, so in the 23 years I've owned a presentation company, there is one thing that presenters do that still kills my soul. And that is when they fail to land their segues. They kind of go from slide to slide and they stop and then they see where they are and they catch up and they see where they are and they catch up. Now, I understand that this is difficult to do in the online space because often you can't see what's coming next. But I've done a few videos on this topic, but there was one area that still wasn't perfect, and that was on Zoom. And I want to share with you one small, easy way that you can make sure that you nail your segue so you do not look like an absolute amateur every single time. That's what this video is all about. My desktop. Before we get started, I want you to have your preparation done. You know, if you're anything like me, there's nothing more frustrating than watching a speaker get called up to a stage and then farm around on their desktop trying to find the icon to open their PowerPoint and, go into show mode. I would always rather be there, arrive before the show, have everything set up, and even if I can't plug in my laptop, have everything ready to go on my screen. So I plug it in and then I just basically turn up and talk. Online is no different. It's still possible to get that level of kind of slickness when we do it online. And I want to share with you how I would do that. Very simply, I would start off, and before my meeting has started, I would open up Zoom. If you click on this, it will say new meeting. In this case, obviously return to meeting. And then you're going to have this view kind of like we have now. You're going to open up your presentation that you're going to be wanting to share in the background. So here I have it here. And then all you want to do is go into your share screen. Now, normally you would click around about this area or maybe, but where I want you to go to is advanced, and then I want you to go into this thing, double click on this portion of screen. So you double click and now you see what you've got. Okay, so everything's moved around a little bit. This is what your audience will see. Now, had you been live in a show, what they would currently see is what you're looking at right there. That's not ideal. So you want to set this up beforehand so that when you actually go into show mode, it's working perfectly. The first thing I want to figure out is what am I going to be looking at? Now, the whole reason I'm getting you to do this is the area you're looking at are these slides down the side, the screen sorter, slide sorter mode at the side here. So if you're looking at that, you certainly don't want to have that all the way over here, because then when you're looking at it, you're glancing, you're looking way off to the side. So I kind of move that up to it's just kind of right there below my camera to some degree, ready to go. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this little frame so that it captures my screen. It is resizable as well. So if you wanted to, you could kind of just go and, resize it to what you need. And I mean, there we go. We can put it in there. I'm kind of happy with that for now. Okay. Once we're happy with this, we've got our view where we want it. I would also recommend that you take your view of yourself and you put it here. And the reason for that, you can make it smaller as well, like maybe like this, is that when your show starts, you're going to change this to gallery view, and that will be a list. So you're going to see a row of all the people you're talking to up front there. Now, even if you just saw yourself, it's a good reminder that that's where your camera is. So you're looking straight to camera. Even if you're talking to yourself, it's still something that you can do and you can get a feedback loop on. For the sake of this demo, just so that I'm using my screen real estate, I'm going to move this back to here. So now we're ready to go. So now we're going to stop sharing. And we're going to wait for the audience to arrive. They walk in the door, everything's perfect. You all do your meet and greets. Hi. You're all chatting. Now, as you're getting ready to go, I want you to open up this little window. You can put it anywhere you want. You can kind of stick it over here. It doesn't really matter. And just get your mouse ready to go on that. And then when they say to you, hey, Richard wants to deliver a presentation, you say, thanks very much, everybody. I'm really excited to be here. And actually, one of the things I want to talk to you about is how my company has figured out how people can present better online. Let's have a look at this. And now you just double clicked in there and instantly your screen has been shared on everybody. There's none of this fumbling around. Guys, let me just find my, guys, can you see my screen? If it says you are screen sharing, they can see your screen. Assume that they can see your screen unless somebody says, hey, Richard, you're not screen sharing. Okay, and then you can go back and fix it. But now look what's happened. Everything is lined up absolutely perfectly. So now I'm ready to deliver my presentation. Now is where I want to start worrying about my segues and my links and things. So I might start off by saying something like, one thing that we figured out at Missing Link when it comes to presenting online is that it's not so much about holding your audience's attention, because we've realized you can't. It's something else at play here. You got to assume that you've lost them. And then you got to figure out, how do I get a different skill? How do I become a master at interrupting your audience's attention? And then just like that, you've kind of led in perfectly and your screen has changed as if by magic, as if somebody was timing it. And I do a few things on this. I look to see where I'm going. So I see my next slide is boredom stare. And then I get my finger ready on the arrow button. But you might have seen me, if you go back, but you'll see me glance down just to make sure it's on the right button. But what I do is I separate the act of doing that from the act of changing. So I don't want to go like this. I want to go down and look, get it in the right place. And then I'll carry on chatting and talking. And I'll say, it's very important. In order to do this, there's certain fundamentals of presentation we need to understand. Now, you can get this from any of the great presentation books. Obviously, I'm quite partial to my own book, Boredom Stare, which will give you some of the tips and things around what you need to present like a pro. Now, maybe I'd wanted to not have the URL in there straight away, but we can't do slide builds easily this way, so we have to cheat them. What I'd suggest you do is just simply go down there, duplicate a slide, and then delete anything. You can just do this a few times. If you point by point by point, you have like 4 slides. That way, then you can turn around and do your boredom stare, and then say, guys, if you do want to download it, feel free to go and check out boredomstare.com, where you'll find links to all the major sites. And that's how you can kind of get through and manage those transitions. So again, you saw I've just moved things around on my desktop, but people can't see it. So then I might say something like, but one tip that you're not going to find in Boredom Slayer is you're not going to find the tip around sharing your screen like this, because I actually found this via a comment on a previous video that I'd done on presenting via Zoom, which I'll link to down below. And that is this from Eloise Ansel. She came on and she mentioned to me, I recommended using Post-it notes to manage your segues. She said that you can now do this. I was blown away. So Eloise, thank you so much for this tip. It's really, really amazing. And we need tips like this because presenting online is difficult. I always say to people, if you want to be good at presenting online or great at presenting online, you have to start by being phenomenally great at presenting in person, because it doesn't get easier. Talking into this little light is harder than talking to a group of people who are smiling back at you. And I guess that's why we put together Missing Link's Cloud Crew offering, because we wanted to make it easier for people to navigate this. Whether you're a presenter just wanting to up your presentation game, or you're a business wanting to take your entire event online. And that's what we're trying to help you with. So from event setup to having stage managers, front of house managers working with you, helping you work out your content strategy, we've got all of those things. And if you if you'd like some help, please feel free to reach out at missinglink.com and we'll help you in any way we can. So that's the basic long and short of it. And it's super easy to do. The one thing that is not so easy, though, is getting that flow right in the first place. You write a good talk before you design one, before you deliver one. And so many people jump straight into PowerPoint, and that's where they kick off their presentation. And I don't want you to do that. What I want you to do instead is to go in and maybe get some Post-it notes and write out your structure of your talk and make sure that flow works. If you do that up front, then your talk will work better. To make this easier for you, we've created a Trello board with our reason to care, reason to believe, need to know, need to do methodology. And I will link to that in the notes below on YouTube. So if you're watching elsewhere, click through to YouTube and you'll find the Trello board there that you can use. And it includes content from Boredom Stare that introduces why this structure is so important. So that's it. That's the whole tip. It's super easy to do, but with these couple of little hacks, I promise you will come across like a professional. And if you don't do them, you'll come across like one of the bumbling idiots that everybody else is. And you don't want that, because you want to be out there leading loud. Stay curious. Peace. Bailey.